Hello, so the world is always changing, therefore we cannot actually know anything objective about the world around us, because to know something is to know its being, and the world is in a constant state of becoming, as opposed to it being something concrete. Yeah, so that's an idea, right? Well, that was posed by Heraclitus, and it's commonly known as Heraclitean flux. I honestly doubt the plausibility of it, because although he has a point, it's not a very pragmatic view, and I don't want to just base this on pragmatism, because I think there's also truth, there's also a different sort of truth to the idea that we can know things, because not everything is in a state of flux, right? I mean, there are some statements that we can pause and know things of without them being subjected to the same conditions, because things exist in different sorts of ways. So, for example, I can know this deductive statement that all bachelors are unmarried men, regardless of the changing states of things in the world. Now, we could say, under a Heraclitean view, that this statement is only true at this point in time and is subject to change at any point in the future due to the transient nature of language and the ambiguity of meaning. And that's possible. But then again, we subject ourselves to not ever really being able to define anything at all. And that, to me, is problematic. And of course, it's not enough just to say that it's problematic. As someone who's studying philosophy, you've got to be able to give examples or justifications for your reasons for thinking things. And that can be difficult at times because we don't always know why we think the way we think. And in some ways, in philosophy, it's problematic when we don't know why we think the way we think. Because in order to know something, we have to have justified true belief. Okay, well, at least that is one definition of knowledge that is rather plausible. And our beliefs can't just be baseless. They have to sit in some sort of reality, and oftentimes we would use a logical framework in order to determine our beliefs. Or at least that's what I think. And even that I couldn't probably tell you anything about. Anyway, I'm not actually very good at philosophy. I am still learning. I have a lot to learn. And yeah, hopefully I will learn. Anyway, so what you can see here is a painting. Now, I'm really interested in painting things using blue and white, and occasionally black as well in the mix. And I don't know why. These are just the colours I'm drawn to at the minute. I've got a series of paintings that I've already completed using a similar sort of style to this. But yeah, I didn't record those ones, so I had the idea that I would record what I'm doing. And as you'll see, there's quite a lot of change going on in the painting. How it looks now, I think now it could pass off as a finished piece of artwork, perhaps resembling water, an abstract water piece or something of the sorts. But I decided to keep on going for another 30 minutes or so. However, I have doubled the speed of this of the background video. Just because I'm not sure someone would want to watch me painting for 30 minutes. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy painting these sorts of things. It's basically, I see it as playing with paint. Obviously maybe there's a method to it, maybe there's, something that I do that causes me to be able to paint in this sort of way. Maybe it's not even good. I just like the look of it. I think it looks aesthetically pleasing. It's an enjoyable thing to do. There's also a degree of randomness to it that perhaps allows me to explore different techniques. But yeah, ultimately, I like trying to depict or represent the nature of water, because water is relaxing. It's something I've always been drawn to, and maybe I won't always have the same focus in my artwork, but I'm quite enjoying having an actual focus. I went from doing a lot of in-depth pen drawings, which would take maybe 10 hours at a time because they were like extremely intricate, and I think I've actually posted some of those on my channel before, so you can check those out if you're interested in that. But this one and the ones I've been doing recently have been done with paint, because that's my way of expressing myself. And I understand that the painting right now is only half in the frame, but that's fine. That was totally intentional. Yeah. So let's look at this idea. You cannot step in the same river twice. Right. Why is that? And do I believe that? Well, it goes back to the Heraclitean flux, doesn't it? Heraclitus determined that you cannot step in the same river twice. Why? Well, isn't it obvious? The river is always changing. The river you stepped in a moment ago is the same river conceptually, but materially, the atoms have rearranged. The riverbed has moved either slightly or substantially. The whole river has changed. I mean, geographically it's in the same location, yes. So you could say maybe it hasn't changed as much as you think it might have changed. But it has certainly changed in one way or another. So, have you stepped in the same river twice? Is it possible to step in the same river twice? And for the sake of pragmatism, again, I'm coming back to this view because I don't have anything other to say because I know nothing. For the sake of pragmatism, of course, you can step in the same river twice. Maybe you wouldn't even bat an eyelid about that question. Maybe you wouldn't even think about stepping in that river more than once. Perhaps you just go to the river and step in the river because that's what you want to do. And a second time you step in the river not because you think you're stepping in that same river twice, or not for the purpose of stepping in it twice, but for the purpose of you fulfilling your destiny and stepping in that river twice, or 3 times, or 4 times. Because it wouldn't make sense to say that you were stepping in a completely different river. That just would not be used in the context of human language, even if that might be the case, that the river has changed. You just wouldn't do that. And if everything is in flux, then can you touch the same tree twice? Can you step on the same piece of ground twice? Because each time you step on it and remove your foot, you are slightly altering the material makeup of that particular space. So, under the Heraclitean view, you literally couldn't do anything more than once because it's a different set of circumstances. Even if the circumstances have only changed slightly, you are doing a completely different thing. And we haven't got time to think of the world in these sorts of ways. And besides, there are plenty more issues to think about than stepping in the same river multiple times. Right, so after, well, not after, now I'm going to go back to the painting. So as you can see, I have incorporated a face into the painting. Now, personally, I can see two faces, and that's all I've really tried to look for. You may be able to perceive more. But yeah, I won't tell you exactly where the faces are. I think one of them at the minute is much more apparent than the other, but you'll see where the other one is in a second. It's actually, I was about to sneeze, that's why I paused. It's actually quite strange because the face that is currently there, the one that was there before I started drawing the nose of the other face, I didn't actually see until later on in the painting. Perhaps nearly when the painting was finished. I thought that was the least substantial face because it's the more abstract one. But yeah, I really like incorporating faces into my artwork. And water, as I have already said. And I don't know why that is, but it was basically something that started since attending an existentialist lecture. I created a painting, and it was blue, like the water, and I think I only created it in 5 minutes. I had the intention of putting a face into the painting, and I might be able to actually show up a picture of the painting in just a second on the video now. If that worked, then I have been successful at something, and yeah. And I created the painting with the intention of expressing something about the human condition. Because existentialism states that human beings' existence precedes our essence. So that is to say that we have no true sense of self. Human beings have no true nature or set of characteristics which define them as human beings. And one of the leading thinkers in existentialism is Jean-Paul Sartre. He was a French philosopher, formed a relationship with Simone de Beauvoir, and yeah, he performed a lecture on existentialism and humanism, and it was basically aimed at the French people, and it was an attempt to demonize them for being so passive when the Nazis were taking over Germany. I mean, when the Nazis came to invade France. He said, "You have a choice. When you act for all men." The people of France didn't use their free will. They didn't use their choice. They were cowards, and that was completely on their shoulders. They were responsible for their actions. They could not blame their nature. It was completely their fault, and he wanted to make them aware of that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different to the ones I would usually make, but yeah. Thank you for watching.